First up, Resonance, a Plague Tale Legacy team learned combat design from scratch. One of the biggest surprises in Resonance, a Plague Tale Legacy, is its shift away from the stealth-focused gameplay that defined previous entries in the series. While longtime fans may miss the iconic rat swarms, the new emphasis on fast-paced melee combat is shaping up to be one of the game's most exciting additions. What's even more impressive is that developer Asobo Studio had virtually no experience creating a combat-focused game before taking on the challenge. Nobody did a combat game before Resonance, lead level design Valorant Robert revealed during a recent interview. According to Robert, the team focused a steep learning curve as they worked to build an entirely new combat system from the ground up. It was a lot to learn in terms of how you design space and how you design combat mechanics because we didn't have any prior experience with that, he explained. We looked at games like Ghost of Tsushima, Sekiro, and Sifu for inspiration while trying to discover our own style and formula. Players take control of Sophia, a younger version of the character introduced in A Plague Tale Requiem. Raised among plunderers, Sophia relies on agility, improvisation, and environmental awareness rather than brute strength when facing heavily armed enemies. Combat encourages players to use their surroundings creatively. Enemies can be kicked off ledges, slammed into obstacles, or knocked into one another. Sophia can also stun opponents by smashing bottles over their heads, using her grappling hook to throw enemies off balance, and take advantage of openings with quick, decisive strikes. The influence of games like Sifu is especially noticeable in these environmental interactions and opportunistic tactics. The development of Sophia's fighting style was closely tied to the team's effort to better understand her character. Although players already know Sophia from Requiem, that version of the character appears 16 years after the events of Resonance. Huh? We took some time to really understand who she was, Robert said. We knew she was part of a plunderer gang, but early on, we didn't know exactly how she would fight. Finding the right balance proved difficult. Initially, Asobo aimed for a brutal combat experience, but the early versions were significantly tougher than intended. It didn't blend well with what the game was about, Robert explained. The team wanted combat to remain challenging and rewarding without alienating fans who were coming from a series known primarily for stealth gameplay. As a result, they worked to create a system that would be accessible to newcomers while still offering satisfying death. We needed to find the right balance, something challenging, but also enjoyable for players who aren't familiar with Soul-style games. Based on hands-on impressions, the final result appears to strike that balance. Combat can be unforgiving, with Sophia being able to withstand only a handful of direct hits, but the variety of tools at her disposal helps offset the difficulty. Well-timed environmental attacks, improvised weapons, and crowd control options allows players to gain the upper hand, even if their defensive timing isn't perfect. The most remarkable part of Resonance combat system may be that it's the studio's first attempt at creating one. For a team known primarily for narrative-driven stealth adventures, Asobo's transition into action-focused gameplay looks surprisingly confident and potentially one of the game's biggest strengths. Now, I have to say, I never got to play a Plague Tale Requiem. Um, I did play the first game, A Plague Tale Innocence, and yeah, that was a stealth game for like 90% of it. I'm not going to say when the action kicks in because then I'd be spoiling part of the story. Unfortunately, I never got to play a Plague Tale Requiem. I was going to stream it one time, but I could only play it on Game Pass through the cloud, and you can't stream games on the cloud. Um, at least not the way I stream Xbox. It wouldn't stream to my OBS. I couldn't access it through. I couldn't stream it through the Twitch dashboard on the Xbox One. I tried that. Apparently, if you're playing a game through the cloud, from what I learned, I don't know if this changed. This was a few years ago. If you play games through the cloud, you you need like an external capture card, or you need like Dr. Games 101 had the Elgato capture card. You would need something like that if you wanted to play games through the cloud and still stream them. So, but yeah, I loved A Plague Tale, and I had no idea that there was a third game or Resonance. So Um, yeah. Obviously they couldn't just keep making stealth. I hate this. Metal Gear Solid. They still had action with the boss fight. So a Plague Tale. Yeah. Awesome that there's a third game. Awesome that they were able to find a way to introduce um, melee combat without completely getting rid of the stealth. Um, so yeah, that's awesome. What do you think? Did you get to play? Have you played any of the Plague Tale games? That would be a Plague Tale Innocence, a Plague Tale Requiem, and apparently now a Plague Tale Resonance. Let me know in the comments if you've gotten to play if you played those games, and if you haven't, you're missing out. Next story.